These are my balls, and I promise to leave them at the office. My husband, Jonathan, used to make me say that every morning before I left for work. I always brought them home, though. Look, the women's movement came, and I ran for it. I was the head of my office and the head of my home. Because my husband, Jonathan, he was a firefighter. So he'd be gone for days at a time sometimes. And I made a little bit more money than him. So I was the boss. I knew where I stood in my relationship. And everyone kept telling me, but Paula, it's a man's world. It's a man's world. And I said, well, fine. If it's a man's world, then I'm a man in a woman's body. Whatever. Anyway, he was more of the feminine. You know, he was all into the universe and astrology. I mean, every other day, something was in retrograde with this man. But I love him. You know, we all want love. But do you know where you stand in your relationship? Or the one you want to have? Or the one that you lost and you're trying to get back? Yeah, you. Well, there are 3 parts to a great relationship. Okay? If you have chemistry and compatibility, you've hit the jackpot. But if you don't have communication, you've lost it all and you're broke. But it's not that complicated, okay? Within every man and woman, gay, straight, bi, lesbian, doesn't matter, there is the feminine and the masculine. We call this the yin and the yang. But the key is that in your relationship, you have to choose one. If not, it's too much confusion and not enough communication. So, what are you? And where do you stand in your relationship? Are you the masculine or are you the feminine energy? Let's find out. I'm going to need your participation at this part. You felt it coming, I know. Okay. In love, we all want to be cherished and respected. But who here wants to be cherished first and respected second? Okay. You are called the feminine, the co-pilot, the yin. Now, who here wants to be respected first and cherished second? Okay. Thank you, sir. You are called the yang, the masculine, the pilot. Oh, but who here wants to be cherished and respected equally? Oh, yes. You are called narcissists. Yes. That's great. Yes, you need to go see my therapist. Her name is Dr. Pat Allen. Well, I went to go see her because I just couldn't see any value in my husband. I mean, I couldn't cherish him, let alone respect him. It was like, when the siren is going off and he's going to go put out a fire. Big deal. This is what I used to think. I didn't respect him as much as I would, say, a lawyer or a doctor or a stockbroker. You know, somebody who made a little bit more money than me. But my therapist told me Two yangs don't make a right. Two masculine energies could lead to a lot of arguments and a lot of battles of the ego. You know what I'm talking about, right? There's got to be a balance of the masculine and the feminine. So me and my husband, we weren't going to make it, you know. I'm not the easiest person to get along with, if you haven't noticed by now. But I didn't want to get a divorce because I know that he's a good man. So I had to pull myself together. And one morning, before we were leaving for work, it was real early in the morning, I said to him, Jonathan, I promise to leave my balls at the office. But I meant it this time. I was going to go to work, and I was going to come home from work without my balls. And finally, we were going to be able to enjoy our chemistry, our compatibility, and now our communication, balancing our masculine and feminine. I would never forget that day. And neither would you. It was September 11th. Yeah, it was a tragedy. But as it was all happening, it was kind of like love was in the air. The loss of love, the yearning for love, the understanding of love. Among all of this mess and the shedding of the universal ego, there was love. My husband, who I did not respect as much as I should have, was called on this day to be a hero. The men in the suits who I respected so much for how much money they made were now being saved by the men in uniforms. And their value wasn't in how much money they made. These men in uniforms became the true heroes of love. The perfect man that had the perfect balance of the masculine and feminine. Feminine enough to have the compassion to risk their lives to save another. Masculine enough, strong enough to run into a burning, falling tower to do it. All for love. And you and I here find it difficult to communicate with the ones that we love? Come on. But you know what? It was like Jonathan was trying to tell me all along. But he had enough respect for my masculine side not to force it on me. Because you know you can't force the masculine to do anything. But I got the message that day. My yang dissolved a little that day. And among all of that craziness, I was just sitting at home, just waiting for my husband to come home so I could love him. But respect him first, then cherish him. But he never came home. And so the world mourned, and I mourned him. But to honor him, I was still going to live up to the promise that I made to him the last time I saw my Jonathan that morning. So I took all of this off. And there I was, as feminine as they come. So I beg of you, if you want to find the love that is calling you, know where you stand. I want to be cherished and respected. And I've learned to leave my balls at the office. It's okay to understand the masculine and the feminine sides within us, because in this life, in this love, we need both. And yes, it's a man's world. But guess what? It's a woman's universe. Thank you.